There's a form of combat that humans have mastered that makes no physical contact, requires no weapons, causes no visible damage, and yet it's destroyed empires, ended careers, and caused psychological trauma that lasts lifetimes. I'm talking about insults, the human ability to weaponize language in ways that cut deeper than any blade. Today, you're going to learn about the diplomatic incident of 2358, when a human said 7 words to an alien warlord, and that warlord's entire command structure collapsed within 48 hours. No violence, no threats, no weapons, just 7 words. Because what humans can do with sarcasm, mockery, and creative profanity, the galaxy has classified it as psychological warfare. And they're not wrong. Let me introduce you to Warlord Krax the Annihilator, 4 meters tall, armored exoskeleton, led the Krillian Empire's military forces for 73 years, conquered 19 star systems, never lost a battle. His species, the Krillian, communicate through direct, literal statements. They have no concept of subtext, sarcasm, or implied meaning. When a Krillian says something, they mean exactly what they said. Nothing more, nothing less. This made them incredibly efficient warriors. No confusion, no misunderstandings, just clear orders and immediate execution. In 2358, the Krillian Empire decided to negotiate with humanity. By negotiate, I mean Warlord Krax showed up in Earth orbit with 47 warships and demanded our surrender. The United Earth government sent a negotiator. Her name was Captain Sarah Martinez. Now, Sarah was not a traditional diplomat. She'd been a Marine for 15 years before transitioning to diplomatic corps. She had tattoos, a collection of scars, and exactly 0 patience for bullshit. The UN sent her because they needed someone who could handle high-pressure situations. What they didn't know was that Sarah's real superpower wasn't diplomacy. It was her ability to absolutely demolish someone with words. The meeting took place on neutral ground, a space station in the asteroid belt. Warlord Krax entered the conference room with his full entourage, 20 warriors, full battle armor, weapons displayed prominently, intimidation tactics, classic. Sarah walked in alone. No armor, no weapons. Just a coffee mug that said, "I'm not arguing, I'm just explaining why I'm right." Krax looked at her, this small human, alone, unarmed, and laughed. The translation came through as, "This is what Earth sends. One small female with no visible combat enhancements. Your species has already admitted defeat." Sarah took a sip of coffee. "Is that your opening statement, or are you still trying to compensate for something?" The translator processed this. Krax's warriors looked confused. "Compensate? I am compensating for nothing. I am Krax the Annihilator. I have conquered. Yeah, 19 systems, never lost a battle, blah blah. Look, honey, I read your Wikipedia page. Can we skip the part where you list your achievements like you're on a first date trying to impress me?" Dead silence. The Krillian translator was struggling. The words made sense individually, but together they contained something else. Something that felt like an attack, but wasn't a direct threat. Krax tried again. "You will surrender Earth's resources, or we will take them by force." Sarah leaned back in her chair. "Okay, so let me get this straight. You traveled, 47 light years, to threaten a species you've never fought, with a fleet that, and I'm just guessing here, probably costs more to maintain than your entire GDP. And your opening move is, give us your stuff or else." She paused for effect. "Did you workshop this plan? Or did you just wake up one morning and think, you know what would be a great use of Imperial resources? Picking a fight with the species that invented nuclear weapons before we invented interstellar travel. The translator was now having serious difficulties. The words were translated, but the meaning kept shifting. Mockery, disrespect, dismissiveness. Krax's exoskeleton began showing stress colors. You dare mock the Krillian Empire? Oh, I'm not mocking your empire. I'm mocking you. The Empire didn't decide to roll up here with your little fleet of overcompensation. You did. I have conquered 19 systems. And I've conquered a hangover after a bottle of tequila. We all have achievements, sweetheart. For the next 45 minutes, Sarah Martinez did something that the Krillian had never experienced. She didn't argue with their threats. She didn't counter their military might. She just made fun of them. Every time Krax made a threat. Wow, are we still doing the intimidation thing? Because I have a lunch meeting in an hour. Every time he cited his military record. You know what? I'm gonna start a drinking game. Every time you say conquered, I take a shot. At this rate, I'll be drunk in 10 minutes. Every time he demanded respect. Respect is earned, big guy. And so far, all you've earned is a headache. Mine. You're giving me a headache. The Krillian warriors were having collective cognitive breakdowns. Their translator AI kept flagging Sarah's statements as not threats, technically, not insults by Krillian standards, not logical arguments, but definitely something aggressive. One warrior whispered to another, "Is she attacking the warlord?" "I don't know. The words are not violent, but they feel violent." "How can words feel violent?" And that's when Krax made his fatal mistake. He stood up to his full 4 meters, slammed his fist on the table and roared, "I am Warlord Krax the Annihilator. I have crushed armies. I have destroyed civilizations. I have—" Sarah held up one hand. "Buddy, my guy, my dude, my overcompensating friend." She stood up, all 5'4" of her, and looked up at this massive alien warlord, and said 7 words that would echo through Krillian military history. "You've never lost because you've never fought." The room went silent. Sarah continued, her voice deadly calm. 19 systems. You want to know what I see when I look at your conquests? 19 species that surrendered before you ever landed a single troop. You roll up with overwhelming force, make scary noises, and civilizations fold. But Earth, we're different. We looked at your 47 warships and thought, okay, so we're going with the fun option. You've never fought someone who wasn't already terrified of you. You've never faced someone who looked at your threats and laughed. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to take your fleet, your warriors, and your fragile ego, and you're going to leave. Because if you don't, you're going to learn the difference between never lost and never really fought. And trust me, you don't want that lesson. Because I've read about species like yours. You're so used to winning by intimidation that you've forgotten how to actually fight. And we're really good at fighting. She sat back down, took a sip of coffee. But hey, your call, Annihilator. Warlord Krax left the negotiation. He didn't attack, didn't make good on his threats, just left. And over the next 48 hours, his entire military command structure collapsed. Here's what happened. The footage of the negotiation was leaked. Sarah may have accidentally left her recording device in public mode. It spread through the Krillian fleet. The warriors watched as their legendary warlord, the Annihilator, got verbally destroyed by a small human with a coffee mug. And suddenly, questions started. Are we actually good at combat, or just good at scaring people? Has Krax ever actually fought a real battle? What happens if we face someone who doesn't surrender? Within a day, 3 commanders challenged Krax's leadership. Within 2 days, half his fleet had fragmented into different factions. Within a week, the Krillian Empire had withdrawn from 11 of their 19 conquered systems because they couldn't maintain control during the internal power struggle. And the Galactic Council watched in absolute horror as humans demonstrated a form of warfare they'd never seen: psychological deconstruction through mockery. The Galactic Council demanded an explanation. "What did you do to the Krillian Empire?" they asked Earth's representatives. "We made fun of them," Sarah said. "You..." "What?" "We mocked them, called them out, pointed out that their entire military reputation was built on intimidation, not actual combat prowess. But you used no weapons, no threats, no violence. Words are weapons, at least the way humans use them. See, most alien species have one of two communication styles: direct and literal, like the Krillian. Say exactly what you mean, no subtext. Empathic, like the Xylari. Communicate through emotional resonance and shared feeling. But humans? We developed something unique: layered meaning. We say one thing and mean another. We use tone to completely change meaning. We employ sarcasm, irony, mockery, double entendre, implications, subtext. When a human says "that's great" in one tone, it means genuine approval. When a human says "that's great" in another tone, it means "that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Same words, opposite meanings, and most aliens can't do this. The Council studied human insults. What they found terrified them. Level 1, direct insults. You're stupid, simple, straightforward. Most species can handle this. Level 2, creative insults. You're so dense, light bends around you. Requires metaphorical thinking. More complex. Level 3, sarcastic insults. Wow, you're really smart, said with sarcasm, means the opposite of what's said. Most aliens can't process this. Level 4, comparative insults. You're like the human version of a participation trophy. Requires cultural knowledge and metaphorical thinking. Level 5, backhanded compliments. You're at the top of the bell curve. Sounds like a compliment, but is actually an insult. Almost no alien species can detect this. Level 6, contextual devastation. I'd agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. Requires understanding of logical fallacies, social dynamics, and implied superiority. And humans? We deploy all of these. Often in the same conversation, we've weaponized language to the point where we can destroy someone's ego, reputation, and psychological stability without ever threatening violence. But here's the part that the Galactic Council found most disturbing. Humans don't just use insults in warfare. We use them on each other, every single day. Friends mock friends. Roasting is a form of bonding. Siblings insult siblings. It's called sibling rivalry, and it's considered normal. Comedians build entire careers on insulting people, including themselves. We have entire competitions, rap battles, roast battles, debate clubs, where the goal is to verbally destroy your opponent. Other species discovered this and couldn't believe it. You practice insulting each other for entertainment? Yeah, it's called comedy. But doesn't this damage social cohesion? Not if you're good at it. The art is insulting someone in a way that's funny enough they can't even be mad. This seems psychologically damaging. Oh, it absolutely can be. But when done right, it's hilarious. But the Council dug deeper, and they found the true horror. Human children learn to insult by age 3. Playground insults. You're stupid. You're ugly. No one likes you. Simple, brutal, and devastating to a developing psyche. And then they get more sophisticated. Age 7. At least I have friends. Age 12. That's why nobody sits with you at lunch. Age 15. I'm sorry, I can't hear you over how irrelevant you are. By the time humans reach adulthood, they've been training in psychological warfare for 15+ years. Every single human. We're all veterans of verbal combat. We've all been insulted. We've all insulted others. We've all learned to weaponize language. And most of us don't even think about it. The Galactic Council realized something terrifying. If humans can do this to each other casually, what happens when they do it intentionally? Sarah Martinez wasn't even trying particularly hard with Warlord Cracks. That was just a Tuesday for her. Imagine what a human could do if they really wanted to destroy someone psychologically. The Galactic Council implemented what they called linguistic protection protocols, essentially guidelines for interacting with humans to minimize psychological damage. Protocol 1. Never engage in verbal sparring with a human. They will win. They've been training since childhood. Protocol 2. Take all human statements literally until confirmed otherwise. Sarcasm detection is nearly impossible for non-humans. Protocol 3. If a human smiles while saying something negative, assume hostile intent. The smile doesn't mean friendliness. It means they're enjoying your confusion. Protocol 4. Never ask a human, "Is that an insult?" Because then they'll explain it, and the explanation is somehow worse than the original insult. Protocol 5. If a human says, "Bless your heart," evacuate immediately. This phrase has been classified as a Class 5 psychological weapon in 14 languages. Meanwhile, humans had no idea this was happening. Sarah Martinez became a folk hero. The woman who destroyed an empire with 7 words. She was confused by this. I just pointed out the obvious. It's not my fault he built his entire reputation on a house of cards. The UN tried to recruit her to train more linguistic warfare specialists. She declined. I'm not teaching people how to be mean. That's called middle school. But the galaxy had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate human words. Because humans don't just use language to communicate. We use it to cut, to mock, to destroy, to rebuild, to heal, to connect, to divide. We've made language into art, weapon, shield, and tool. And we've gotten really, really good at it. 5 years after the incident, I interviewed Warlord Cracks. He'd left the military, started a small trading company, lived quietly on a remote colony world. I asked him, "What was it about Sarah's words that broke you?" He thought for a long time. "She made me see myself clearly," he said. "For 73 years, I believed I was a great warrior. I had convinced myself that my victories meant something. But she was right. I had never fought anyone who wasn't already afraid. I had never tested myself against real resistance. Her words didn't attack me. They revealed me, and I couldn't unsee what she'd shown me. The worst part, she wasn't even trying to hurt me. She was just honest. Brutally, mockingly honest. That's what humans do. They see the truth you're hiding from yourself, and they point at it and laugh. How do you defend against that? You can't. So the next time someone tells you, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me," remember, that's a lie humans tell children. Because we know words hurt. We know because we've weaponized them. We've turned language into something that can destroy empires, end careers, and shatter egos. And we're so good at it that most of us do it without thinking. The galaxy is terrified of human insults. And they should be, because we've had thousands of years to perfect the art of destroying each other with nothing but words. And unlike weapons, you can't defend against words with armor. You can only hope you're not the target. Drop the most devastating insult you've ever heard in the comments. Let's show the aliens what we're capable of. Keep it clever, not cruel. Tag someone who has a PhD in sarcasm. You know who they are. Subscribe for more stories about why human communication terrifies the universe. And remember, the pen is mightier than the sword. But a well-timed bless your heart is mightier than both.